Tonight on Vector News 24, a sitting head of state abducted by U.S. forces. The President of Venezuela is forcibly removed from his country, flown to the United States, and paraded before a U.S. court in an operation Washington calls law enforcement and much of the world calls kidnapping. We break down what actually happened in Venezuela, what charges were really filed, not the ones advertised in advance, and why this operation has sent shockwaves through global politics, energy markets, and international law. This is Vector News 24. Let's get into it. Here are the facts as they stand. The President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, has been abducted by U.S. military forces during a covert overnight operation in Caracas and transported to the United States. Washington claims jurisdiction. Caracas calls it an act of state kidnapping. President Trump has publicly stated that the United States is now in charge of Venezuela's transition and its oil resources. Inside Venezuela, interim authorities have rejected U.S. claims of control, declared national mourning, and placed security forces on high alert. Meanwhile, Maduro has appeared briefly in a U.S. court, where the charges presented do not match the accusations previously advertised by U.S. officials. Let's be very clear about what happened. This was not an arrest. This was not an extradition. There was no Venezuelan court order, no bilateral legal process, and no consent from the Venezuelan state. U.S. forces conducted a cross-border military abduction, removed a sitting president from his own capital, and transferred him to New York under armed guard. Maduro himself described the operation as a kidnapping, a description echoed by Venezuelan courts, legal experts, and multiple governments. Whether one supports or opposes Maduro politically is irrelevant. The precedent is what matters. If this is accepted as normal, then no leader outside U.S. protection is safe from removal by force. Let's be very clear about what happened. This was not an arrest. This was not an extradition. There was no Venezuelan court order, no bilateral legal process, and no consent from the Venezuelan state. U.S. forces conducted a cross-border military abduction, removed a sitting president from his own capital, and transferred him to New York under armed guard. Maduro himself described the operation as a kidnapping, a description echoed by Venezuelan courts, legal experts, and multiple governments. Whether one supports or opposes Maduro politically is irrelevant. The precedent is what matters. If this is accepted as normal, then no leader outside U.S. protection is safe from removal by force. U.S. jurisdiction, claims of sovereign immunity, and the political nature of the prosecution. In short, the spectacle was bigger than the legal substance. Inside Venezuela, there is no power vacuum. Under the Venezuelan constitution, executive authority immediately transferred to the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, who has lawfully assumed the duties of the presidency. State institutions remain intact. The military chain of command remains in place. Government ministries continue operating. What has changed is the political atmosphere. The interim administration has formally condemned the U.S. operation as an illegal foreign abduction, rejected Washington's claims of authority, and declared a period of national mourning. Security forces have been placed on heightened alert, not due to internal collapse, but due to the risk of external destabilization. For many Venezuelans, this is not viewed as a transition of power, but as an assault on national sovereignty, carried out from outside the country. Whatever one's opinion of Maduro, the constitutional order has not collapsed. What has been challenged is the principle that nations, especially resource-rich nations, are allowed to govern themselves without foreign force. This is not just about Venezuela. Venezuela holds one of the largest proven oil reserves on Earth. The U.S. president has openly stated that Venezuelan oil will now be managed under U.S. supervision. That alone explains far more than any courtroom narrative. The message to the world is clear. Sovereignty is conditional. International law is optional. Resource-rich states outside U.S. alignment are vulnerable. This operation will accelerate de-dollarization efforts, security cooperation between non-Western states, the breakdown of the post-World War II legal order. And it will be remembered, regardless of how the trial ends. Reactions worldwide have been swift. Multiple governments have condemned the abduction as a violation of sovereignty. Others have remained silent, not because they approve, but because they're calculating. Because if it can happen to Venezuela today, it can happen elsewhere tomorrow. This is not law enforcement. This is power politics, stripped of pretense. What we are witnessing is not justice. It is precedent-setting force. Whether you like Maduro or despise him doesn't change the reality. A foreign military removed a sitting president and called it legal. That should concern everyone. We'll continue tracking developments as this story unfolds. This is Vector News 24. Not propaganda, not prostitute narratives, just vectors of power and reality. Like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you next time.